Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Lots to talk about, but I want to play this clip of a guy who's out interviewing people at an Antifa rally. It's absolutely hysterical. If you don't get a kick out of this, you don't have a funny bone in your body. And he's not even trying to be funny. He starts out by asking about misogyny. So anyway, let's play the clip and we'll dissect it a bit. And then we may be able to cover one other thing before we get through this segment.
Well, they're pro-misogyny.
In what way, though? How do they? Which way do they do that?
By being pro-misogynist and by espousing pro-misogynist rhetoric.
How much of his base do you think is the KKK?
A large amount.
I'm sure you find a lot of swastika tattoos.
Have you seen any of the Nazi KKK people today?
Yeah.
Who's the guy? Which is the guy?
Which guy?
The guy that we're...
Okay, I don't know you.
Okay, but just tell me who...
I know you. Don't talk to me.
All right, that's one way to live. Why are they chanting Nazi scum off our streets at you? Are you a Nazi?
No, I'm not.
This is weird. It doesn't make any sense then.
Indian, yeah. Dude, just today they called me a white supremacist. Every white supremacist in the country supports Donald Trump.
Every Black Panther supported Obama.
And I would argue that the Black Panthers are way better than the KKK or any white supremacist.
The same thing on the other side. It's just identity politics using violence.
Making the argument that you're Indian doesn't necessarily make you not a Nazi.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. I find these guys really kind of hilarious, except that it just goes to show you how idiotic they can be. And they don't really even know what they're protesting. That's what I think I find most disconcerting. Is, look, I know what I stand for. If I'm going to get off my butt and go protest, it's going to be for the right reason. I'm going to know the cause and what it's all about. When I went out to the hundreds of Tea Party events that I, attended or either spoke at or whatever, and of course, if I'm speaking there, I certainly know what I'm doing. But when I first went, if I was in town and just went to one, I knew where I was going. It wasn't like it was, well, I'm not sure what they're going to be talking about today. The Tea Party always stood for the same thing, and it was camaraderie to go out and see people of like mind. And occasionally we would have people try to shout us down. And I remember one it was in St. Louis, out in St. Charles, and there were a group of anti-Tea Party people standing in the middle, and they were trying to shout, and people were going up to them, giving them water, giving them stuff, and and occasionally they would, I had the microphone, I was the keynote speaker. I had the microphone and other people as well. And you couldn't hear them. And they finally left and it was no big deal. But we treated them with respect. Come out, whatever. I can't imagine they left there and went, man, those are evil people. It just didn't happen. But these people, they don't even know what they're mad about. You ask them, well, what is misogyny? Well, they're just misogynists. Really? Well, do you really know what that means? It's like talking to a kid. You know what I got to tell you about my little boy, this 10-year-old, he's about to be 11, but this kid, I'll be talking and I'll use a word. Like I'll say, well, they're secular. And he'll go, yeah. And he'll go, hey, Dad, what does secular mean? And I explain it. And then I know he's a sponge, so he gets it, and he probably uses it at school the next day 20,000 times. But he will stop in his tracks and go, well, what does that mean? When I say he's a misogynist, Dad, what's a misogynist? That's a person who is disrespectful and demeaning to women, etc. Oh, okay. So when he hears it, he knows what it's about, and he'll use it probably again to his little buddies or something. If they say something to like, she's ugly, he go, what are you, a misogynist? Just to impress his. But I was identically the same way. I had a thirst for vocabulary, because I didn't want people to get over on me with language. And I'm not telling you I have the most extensive vocabulary out there, but it's pretty good. And so knowing something is a good thing, because at least you can, he's misogynist. He's misogynist. Well, how so? Well, because if I tell you Donald Trump is a misogynist, I'm going to tell you, yeah, he dated a woman, and it was clear from all the indications that he had no intention of being with her. He used that relationship to better his position with her father. It's, and which, by the way, wouldn't make him a misogynist. It might make him a piece of crap, a stair stepper. But all I'm saying is I would have information to back it up. These guys, go talk to these folks. I've been in rallies and talked to them. they don't know what they're talking about. And you say to yourself, you really got out of bed to do this and you don't care that you're an idiot? You don't care. What are you here for? Oh man, they just told me to come. Well, who told you to come? What's your beef? Oh, they just told me be loud and shout people down. That's it. Now, if the guy I'm thinking about when I had this conversation, he's getting a paycheck, so he's going to do what he's told, but he has no clue. He doesn't even know if what he's being paid to shout down is going to cost him more in the long run, which of course it is, because it's a leftist that's paying him to shout people down and to do bad things. So yeah, it's not going to end up well for him, and it's not going to be good for us. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. I told you I wanted to cover quite a few things, and here's this has been kind of a burning question for me for a while, maybe over the past couple of weeks. When did Jimmy Kimmel become relevant? I mean, I hear about Jimmy Kimmel's son. He's got some kind of a heart condition. Jimmy Kimmel can pay to have his son looked at by the best doctors. He doesn't need Obamacare. And, I understand if he's trying to say, look, I'm able to do this and other people are not. And, I feel for the common man and all that. I get it. Okay, fine, Jimmy. You got a heart. We understand it. But do you believe that the rest of America should suffer? See, Kevin Jackson and his family paid $30,000 more for lesser insurance coverage because of the possibility that a kid that can't afford it, like your son's dad and mom, would have to get some kind of an operation that Obamacare you believe would cover, that I personally believe wouldn't cover, except to maybe say, look at the lucky lotto winner that we're going to cover. It would be like Hunger Games. You take all the kids with heart problems and say, only one of you is going to survive. Are you kidding me? You think the government is going to cover everybody's malady and millions of dollars? That's ridiculous. But Jimmy Kimmel, something happens with this kid, and he goes from being comedian, from being a funny man, to being political hack, because he might be a funny comedian. I used to think he was funny, but he's a political hack. He wants to take his one anecdote, my little boy and his problem, and pretend that he knows all about the system. I'm not saying he's not a bright guy, not saying he didn't research it. But what I'm telling you is, whatever amount of time he's doing with that, unless he wants that to be his career, he didn't research it as much as we did. I don't stand up in front of people in the middle of the afternoon or in the evening and make people laugh. Not anymore anyway. I do this. But Jimmy Kimmel wants you to believe that in his sideline, when he's not prepping for his multi-million-dollar a year gig, he spends his time studying Obamacare and the healthcare system, and he knows best for you. Sorry, Jimmel, you're not Jimmy Jimmel. I'll just call him Jimmel. Everybody will know. Yeah. So speaking of Jimmel, I don't trust. Why would I trust him any more than I trust any of these other leftists? But somebody remind me of when he became relevant. Did I miss a meeting of Comedians Anonymous or something? Because this guy is a funny man who's going through a situation with his son that I don't wish on any dad. But Jimmy, your situation with your son doesn't mean the world, or certainly America, has to pay attention to it, because it isn't the way the world works. It's funny to me, and I've had many revelations like this. 2 I can remember. I'm not going to go back through them, but where I remember going, dude, everybody doesn't think like you. Just chill. Now, when I said that, it was in reference to just life in general. And I'm a studied person in most of the things that I talk about on the radio. When I'm not, I tell you. And I've studied Obamacare quite extensively. And what I can tell you is it's not doing the nation the good that it's being sold that it's doing. It's not doing that. And we need to be able to have an honest discussion about it, without somebody like Jimmy Kimmel trying to sensationalize it. Oh, this is awful, and Obamacare, and we need to keep it, and look at Donald Trump. He's and I don't know all the details around what he said, but I know it was anti-Trump, anti what Trump's. And I think to myself, Jimmy, You honestly want me to believe, let's just boil it down to this. Jimmy Kimmel wants the nation and the world to believe that he trusts the judgment of a failed community organizer and probably the worst president in American history, a guy who will not provide detail around the so-called intellect that he has, over a Wharton grad who took $1 million loan and made it into whatever number of billions Trump has, and became president of the United States against all odds. Nobody believed that Barack Obama would not become president. Once he got in, they were like, oh shoot, it's a shoo-in. With Trump, we were told he couldn't make it. But Jimmy Kimmel trusts Barack Obama more than he trusts Trump.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.